What's up, guys? Welcome to my album review for the newest album from Vixx. It's their fourth mini album titled Shangri, and I'm just like that intro was a little off, but I've started this video 3 times, so I'm not going to anymore, and we're just gonna roll with it. So we're gonna get in this album review. I'm gonna tell you what I thought about it, and we're gonna open it up for discussion with you guys. So if that's kind of what you are interested in, and this is your first time here, then please do consider clicking the subscribe button down below so you can hear more album reviews, music video reactions, just in general discussion about Korean music. So let's get into the album review, and I have to say that I was kind of expecting going into this thinking that the album was going to be something that is a pretty large change for Vixx as a whole, but that, and of course it's due to the fact that the promo song set up this expectation because of how just dramatically different that it was. And ultimately going into it and after finishing it and listening to it for a number of times, it's different. It's definitely something that is, not really what I was expecting, but at the same time, it's more or less very, very similar to a lot of the stuff that Vixx has released in the past. And that is mostly, of course, stuff that is on their, album tracks from their previous albums. And it's got a very, very heavy, I think, R&B vibe throughout just about every single track, more or less, to a certain extent. Whether it's a lot or a little bit, I think it's always kind of there. And that's pretty much that's pretty familiar from a lot of the stuff that I've listened to from Vixx, as far as I can remember for the last couple of albums. I went into this, of course, after listening and doing my video and all that stuff for Shangri-La, and I was expecting it to be, the entire album to be equally as different as that song was. And I'm not disappointed. I'm not let down. I don't really have any sort of feeling or preference one way or another that they didn't really kind of deliver on that expectation. But it would have been nice. It would have been a lot more interesting, I think, if they had actually been like, what, we're going to go with the traditional Korean or Chinese or Japanese or whatever you want to argue it is, because people were actually arguing about that in the comment section of my music video. I found that to be kind of funny, but people are very, very, have a lot of pride in their culture, and they want to claim that their culture is influencing this and whatever. That's off topic, but I was kind of expecting to go with it, it would have been really awesome if they just kind of continued. Like, how can they work in, this traditional Asian, we're just going to say generic, Asian sort of, cultural influence and stuff like that into the music and the whatever other, feel of the songs. And that would have made for a really, 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 really interesting album, especially considering the packaging for this album and, of course, the promotion song for this one. But they just haven't done that. They've kind of gone back to a lot of the stuff that I've heard from Vixx in the past. And like I said, that's not bad. That's not, horrible. But it is like they could have done something that is much, much, much cooler than what they've got. Ultimately, I just kind of think that this is really a album. It's five songs plus an instrumental track, so it's 5 songs of what you would normally get off of a Vixx album, but of course there's less variety in what you get. And it's essentially like just a really big emphasis on the vocal forms of music that they perform. Stuff that relies more on vocal and not stuff that is like crazy, or I should say vocal performances, because of course everything relies on vocal, and not so much, with the music being something that is massively interesting and intriguing. And, that's awesome. It's a lot of like low to medium tempo and energy level songs. They don't really have any of the crazy high energy level songs like you do get pretty frequently throughout the rest of their other albums. And of course, the promo songs previously were pretty high energetic and stuff like that, but it just isn't really there. All in all, it makes sense for a mini album because it just makes it, a very kind of coherent sort of theme where like we're going for stuff that is vocal performance oriented and based. We got some music that's pretty interesting and is pretty good and it's different, but we all just have a general theme and they provide a pretty decent variation on that theme as well. And this is actually the part where it actually is, really good, and I actually really do enjoy it, because despite the fact that, like I said, I kind of wish that they kind of carried on with the whole feel and the vibe, and seeing how they could explore that traditional Asian thing that they were going on, that they had through their promotion song. They didn't do that, but what did happen was they kind of kept a pretty continuous and tight sort of theme throughout all of their songs, right, with the whole medium at most energy and tempo sort of songs, a little R&B throughout all of it, to varying degrees in all the songs. But all 5 songs are actually very, very different from each other, and I think that that's actually really nice. I think it's a perfect sort of fit, of course, for a mini album format, because I think that a mini album, you don't have very many songs to kind of explore an interesting set list that's going to take you to interesting and different places, to kind of like tell a story as that flow can possibly do. But it is a really good way to say, like, this is going to be the theme, this is going to be the style that we're going to go to. Let's see how we can explore that and take it to new and interesting places through every single song. And they actually did that to a pretty successful degree, I think, and made the album, ultimately, pretty interesting and very, very interesting to listen to. I have to say that probably my favorite song on the entire album, I do believe that it's called Blackout. I think it's the third or third song on this album. That's what I remember. I might be misremembering the name of that song because I didn't specifically write it down. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's a really, really nice album. If you're going into this like I was, kind of course, as a lot of people probably are and do, use the promotion song and the music video to kind of like set an expectation level for what the album is going to contain. If you go into this expecting to hear something that is similar to Shangri, you are not going to get that. And, that's perfectly fine. It kind of like sets a thing where it's like, this is interesting. It sets the theme for the packaging and stuff like that of the album as well. And then you kind of like transition into stuff that's more familiar territory for Vixx. If you've listened to any of their albums in the past, you'll definitely get some like, this is definitely still Vixx sort of music. So my rating for this album, of course, is whether or not I would buy it or whether I would spend money on this, because I don't particularly like giving number reviews. So the way that I would spend money on this, if I would at all, is I would buy this because, of course, it's a good album and I like Vixx, so it makes sense to buy it. But it's not something that I have like a burning desire to have or own. Definitely something that's going on to my wish list, and I'm going to really, really enjoy it. It's not, I would have to say, for me personally, it's not really the most exciting Vixx album I've ever listened to, but it is good. And of course, the title track and the packaging for this are also, unique and different to K-pop. So, I think it would be a nice addition to the collection, don't you think? Put the little thing that's Chinese themed or whatever it is you want to call it, up on that bookcase, add it with the rest of my albums. And I think it would be a nice little, it would be a nice addition to the collection because it's a little bit different, like I said. So that's really all I got to say as far as my review for this album goes. It's a good album. It's not the most amazing, brilliant, just mind-blowing Vixx album I've ever heard, but it is definitely something that I would consider buying in the future. Hopefully before they stop selling it places, when I can get around to getting it. But then it all depends on how much money I make. So that is really all that I have got to say about this album. I want to know what you guys think about this album. What's your favorite song is what I was, I guess, trying to say right there. So let me know your thoughts and your favorite song and whatever stuff down in the comment box below. We're trying to have a little discussion here about this album, friendly and respectful discussion about the album, whether we agree or disagree with each other. That is what this community is all about. So if you want to join that community, then please consider clicking on the subscribe button down below so you can become a part of the discussion at some point in the future. So that is going to be it for this video. As always, I want to thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time. Did you guys know that I have got a website? It is called rokmusicreview.com, and that is where I post my reviews of songs and albums and just in general news stuff relating to K-pop. So go over there, check it out. And if you're interested in providing content for that website, get in contact with me through email or on Twitter, or message me through Facebook, and I can get you set up so you can start writing for rokmusicreview.com.